Alright, so my energy levels do seem to be climbing, which is good. I'm still struggling with very strong exhaustion during the day, but it seems to be getting better. Either that or I'm getting used to it, so we'll see how things continue to improve in the next couple of weeks. But that's not actually what I want to talk about today. One is this week I'm going to be doing a couple of teardowns. I've got a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to tear down, but I wanted to sort of get away from teardowns because I did a bunch of them. But that's kind of Big Clive's thing. He really likes to take things apart, and I don't want to step on his toes. So, I wanted my channel to kind of focus on experimentation and learning and, just having kind of an adventure, just plowing ahead with concepts that I think should work and might work or whatever, and, just doing my own thing and learning along the way. So this week I'll do some teardowns, just because I want to get rid of some clutter, so it'll be kind of nice to get rid of big bulky stuff like this and maybe salvage some parts out of it for other things. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm now going to talk a little bit as a product expert, a YouTube product expert. We have been getting a lot of reports on the forum of people whose watch history mysteriously pauses, or unknown videos start appearing in their watch history, or they start, they notice that videos that they didn't like are in their liked list, and just basically they're getting things happening in their watch history that doesn't make sense. And through the process of elimination, we've managed to identify a common thread to all of these issues, and that's a program that you download and install on your desktop called Grambler. And it's supposedly the only third-party program for uploading pictures to Instagram, and it doesn't actually seem to have any sort of YouTube permissions, but anybody, thus far 100% of the people that have responded to us asking if they had Grambler have said that yes they did, and when they uninstalled the program, the weird watch history issues went away, which means that this program is hijacking their YouTube accounts through their PC to illegally and artificially inflate the metrics of other YouTube channels. Now this bears an extreme risk for the person that has Grambler installed, because there are two clauses in the Terms of Service, Section 4 C and H, which talk about the accessing YouTube services through unauthorized third-party programs and using automated services to interact with YouTube services faster than a human would be able to, which is precisely what this Grambler program is doing. So when people install this program, they are putting their YouTube channels at risk because this program is using their account to artificially inflate other people's metrics. So just be careful. Don't install that program. Don't install any third-party programs that access your accounts. If you want to if you want a program to upload stuff to your Instagram, I'm pretty sure Instagram has something like that. Use their program. Use their interface. Do not use third-party programs. They are there to steal your data, hijack your computers, and put your data and accounts at risk. So just don't do it. Also, on a different note, I've been watching Mythbusters Jr. So, Adam Savage, if you happen to come across this video, well, hi, thanks for watching my silly little vlog. I have no idea why you'd be here in the first place, but just finished watching the special you guys did on lithium batteries, and you guys did a pretty good job with discussing the science and stuff in it, but I think you guys left out a couple of really important factors that probably should have been discussed in the episode. Now, your standard lithium-ion or lithium polymer battery like this one, it's a Samsung branded 18650 battery. Everybody has seen one of these. These are in power banks, like this one right here, one of my favorite power banks. It's got an 18650 battery in it, which I've actually modded with a higher capacity battery. I just like this because it's got the machined aluminum and nice threads on the ends for hackability and stuff. But anyway, these contain a absolutely microscopic amount of lithium in them, because the lithium is only being used as a method of electron exchange. There's just a very, very, very trace amount of lithium. And what actually catches fire in these, this is actually a vented one, you can see the emergency vents on the top if it gets overpressured. What actually catches fire in these is the electrolyte, which is actually quite flammable if it is in a gaseous state. And that's where you run into the problems with these lithium batteries, because if the separator between the anode and the cathode is compromised and you get a dead short, these have an extremely high energy density. It has nothing to do with the lithium metal in them, it's just that they contain an incredible amount of power. Like this one has 6.7 watt-hours worth of power in it, which is a lot of power. And if there's a dead short, basically you've got infinite amperage going through the inside of this battery, which means its temperature is going to go way up, and that electrolyte is going to start to vaporize. Now that electrolyte, when it gets to a certain temperature, will auto-ignite, and then it catches fire. It has nothing to do with the lithium. It's all about the electrolyte that facilitates the flow of electrons. So that's a little piece of science that you guys left out. The other thing that you guys did is you did tear open a lithium battery, such as this guy right here. Now, these actually do contain a large amount of lithium in them, and they will catch fire due to the lithium. These will not. But of course, these have a far lesser energy density, despite the fact that they're far more flammable. So they're... You guys were mostly accurate in your science. It's just you didn't really address the chemistries of the battery as thoroughly as I would like. Now, another interesting thing about lithium batteries is how much voltage is actually inside the battery will affect how violently they react when they are crushed or punctured. And the really weird thing is they will react just as violently if they're at 0 volts as they will if they are at 4.2 volts. The lithium cell is actually not supposed to be at 0 volts. To keep a lithium battery safe-ish, you actually want to have it at about 2.8 to 3 volts. At that level, the potential across the insulating membrane is actually at its lowest between the anode and the cathode. It's counterintuitive, I know, because you're like, oh, it contains voltage, but these batteries, the chemistry in them is not meant to go below about 3 volts. So when you go below 3 volts, you start getting a concentration of lithium ions on one of the electrodes. This is also why you never want to allow a lithium-ion battery to discharge below about... you can probably take them down to about 2 volts, but you don't want to take them much further than that. You can, but it will affect the longevity of the battery, because those lithium ions start to settle out as lithium metal, and they start making lithium whiskers. This also happens if you overcharge the battery, it just happens on the opposite electrode. You start getting these lithium whiskers, which are sharp because lithium has a nice crystalline structure, and those lithium whiskers will penetrate the very, very, very tiny thin membrane that separates the cathode and the anode, and then you'll get a thermal runaway situation. It doesn't have to be much, it just has to be a tiny little whisker that creates a spark that melts a tiny bit of that insulator, and then you get a larger short and it just runs away, and then it starts to boil off. So if you're going to transport batteries, well, the easiest way would be to throw them in a power bank and then drain the power bank until the power bank shuts off. Because the power banks are programmed to cut power out of the battery when it reaches that critical point where the potentials and the lithium-ion concentration is as equally balanced as possible. When you charge it up to 4.2 volts, it's all on the lithium ions are all on near the negative electrode, and if you charge it, or if you discharge it down to 0 volts, the lithium ions are all going to crowd up near the positive electrode. So the chemistry of these is very complicated, but you guys didn't, or Mythbusters didn't really address it as thoroughly as I would have liked to hear them talk about it. But that's just the electronics engineer in me cringing a little bit at some of the information they were handing out there on that episode. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say today. Just needed to rant about a couple of things. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.